Welcome back, boys and girls. This is Kendall Nelson, back to you to discuss the French and Indian War. It's called the French and Indian War, and most people think that it was the French versus the Indians. It's called the French and Indian War. If it was the French versus the Indians, it would be called the French versus the Indian War.
So what's happening is in 1534, France came into America, and they got this land and they called it New France, okay? And so this is in Quebec, and that's the first French colony, okay? And so what's happening is the colonists were split with religion, and some of them were Catholic and some of them were not, so they were kind of having issues there, okay? And so the priests wanted to convert the Native Americans to become Catholic, okay? So that started some big things. So then what's happening is the French Empire collided with the growing British Empire, so they're both trying to grow and they're both like butting heads, okay? And so in 1754, the French-British conflict reignited, so it's up again and they're fighting again, which is bad for everybody. French colonists wanted to develop friendlier relationships with the Native Americans so then they could trade with them and like be friends, you know. Good. No war, no fighting, no nothing, okay? So the trade relationship between the colonists and the Native Americans led to several like alliances because now they were pals. Is George Washington, okay? And he established an outpost called the Necessity. George Washington. In May of 1754, Washington and his militia attacked a small group of French soldiers in the following battle between the French and the British. And that forced a counterattack. So now there's full-blown fight going on because of him, George Washington. In the battle that followed, the French forced Washington to surrender. So now he's done. And yeah. So for necessity, we're opening the French and Indian War. That's how it started, okay? All because of him, Washington. There you go. Okay. The French and Indian War was the fourth war between Great Britain and France for control over the North America. So at this point, everybody's pretty frazzled and everybody's pretty mad at each other. King George is frazzled at this point because he's like, we need to win some battles, okay? So he gets William Pitt to be their new leader. William Pitt. There you go. Okay. A Native American leader captured 8 British forts in the Ohio Valley so that the British would want to surrender and hopefully it would get them out. So the British were angry with this, so they presented the Native Americans with smallpox infected blankets so then the Native Americans would get disease and they would die. Disease spread rapidly and everybody began to get sick and everybody began to die. And so that's when they negotiated a treaty with the British in 1765. They're good, they don't have any conflicts anymore, and now they're kind of buddies at this point. So then the proclamation of 1763, it banned all the settlements of the West to avoid conflict with the Native Americans because now they don't want any problems with them. So yeah. With this new proclamation, they established a proclamation line, but the British still crossed into the Native Americans' lands because nobody really enforced it. Yeah. Okay. Now, it's time for the open letter. Here's our open letter. This is a primary source document from a girl named Mary Jemison, and this was written in 1824, and she was captured by some Indians, okay? And so she said that while she was in a canoe with some Indians, they were going down a river, and as they're going past, they see body parts and they see people being scalped and all this nasty stuff. So she just says that it was really bad and Indians were ruthless. War brought lots of financial crises to Britain. Is that a word? Crisis? Crisis is not a word. The British began to crack down on the colonies from smuggling and enforce law where they could search ships so they could find people who were trying to smuggle things because taxes were unbelievably high. And so the Boston merchants were really mad that the French had all this power to come and search their boats and take their stuff from them. George Grenville, and he is a financial expert, and he is chosen as a prime minister and hope to lower the debt that everybody was in at this point, okay? So, and I feel tired. We have to hurry. There we go.
Well, that's all we have time for. Join us next time and you'll learn about some more history stuff.